Hello, my name is Michael Harvey and this is a demo of my application for Deakin SIT206 iOS development. Here you'll see some version control by duplicating the Xcode and putting it onto my Mac. The key features and tasks that I had to supply in this application, including single and two-player mode, able to choose the X or O symbols to see the score, to start and restart games at any point, an extension 1 and 2 of high score history, clever AI or player name and animations. Two unique things on the storyboard I thought I'd bring up, which is the blur effect and how to actually have other views other than the main view. Later on I'll describe how the blur effect is put in code, and as you can see here you can go through and bring up multiple views that actually can be animated onto the main view. So now we'll look at some code. In this code we're looking at the grid, and it's broken up to 9 buttons. Each button makes up an image and the X and O's are background images. The view did load function includes a few things. Remove the blur effect by reducing the alpha to 0. Round the corners of all attached views. Disable the grid and set the background music to play repeatedly. Setting the application into portrait mode only allows for me to have enough space for the buttons and views to show correctly. Demoing the application in iPhone SE allows me to show the smallest screen. In the demo I'm going to show the menu, the score history, player 1 to player 2 and how to get the names on those, a new game button which actually sets the grid, disables the other buttons other than new game, and also sets the X, always goes first. So next we'll have a look at some code. First we'll look at the two paths that each grid button can take, player 1 versus player 2 or player 1 versus AI. We'll look at the turn count and how it's tested against each turn against the arrays of O turn and U turn, and it works out whose turn it is next. We'll look at the new game function, how it enables the grid buttons, disables other buttons other than itself, sets the background for each grid button to blank. It also works out if the AI is X and sets it to random in setting it to one of those corners or maybe the center, and sets your turn for each player. Next we'll see the player 1 versus player 2 function. What it does is checks see who's X or O, checks, make sure that it's player 1 versus player 2, checks whose turn it is based on those O, X and X turn arrays. Has a look at the X or O has one function, and if not, then goes through and has a look at the draw function and the reset button function. This code is player 1 versus AI. It's a little bit more complicated. Firstly, it does work the same as player 1 versus player 2. Checks to see if it's X or O, who's X or O, player 1 versus AI is set. Then it goes through and actually starts creating some functions to actually do the special AI considerations. Firstly, it'll do a function called canWin, which identifies if two cells of the same token are beside each other, it'll put the third token in and win. Next, it goes through and says if I have one, then we'll go to the has one function. Otherwise, we'll go to canBlock. Now, canBlock determines if the player 1 has actually got a possibility of winning, so therefore it'll block based on that. If none of these functions can be set, then it goes to the other rules function. Finally, if no one has one and all the buttons are full, or the background images are full, then it'll do a draw function, run the draw animation, and then finalize the reset buttons, disable the grid, reset all the variables. The final bit of code we'll look at is AI logic and rules. We'll only do a quick scan of this because there is a lot of code involved in it. The main functions that this covers is canWin. If the AI can win, it will. Has one, checks if 3 of X or O's are in line. canBlock, checks if P1 can win and blocks. And then other rules. Effectively, we'll look at player 1, determines where the player 1 went last, and then tries to apply a token in somewhere that'll actually help it to win. The final demo will be on the largest of possible screens, iPhone screens, the 7 Plus. This shows that the constraints and the layouts of all the buttons work, whether it's a small screen or a large screen. This concludes my demonstration of my application. Thank you very much for watching my video.